welcome. You're watching 6 Stories at 6 with me, Tanisha Avasthi. Let's take you through the 6 agenda story settings of the day. First up, there is a huge showdown over Waqf pan-India from Rajasthan to Uttar Pradesh to Maharashtra, and why we feel that anarchy cannot overrule reforms. In Bengal, it is an all-out war between teachers and Mamata Banerjee over the SSC scam showdown. And as Tahawwur Rana is finally in the NIA net, the opposition is trying very hard to downplay India's huge diplomatic win by sympathizing with the 2611 plotter. Meanwhile, in Tamil Nadu, DMK's anti-Hindu mindset has been exposed yet again with a disgraceful remark from DMK minister who has now been suspended, who compared Hindu tilak to something very obnoxious. And just months ahead of the Tamil Nadu elections, the BJP and the AIADMK had confirmed that they will be fighting the elections as one team. And finally, the tit-for-tat game seems nowhere close to an end where it comes to tariff. However, there is a slight relief for India, and you will have to wait till the end of the show to know all about it. We start this edition with the top story that we are focusing here, which is about the Anti-Waqf Act protest. Now, nationwide Anti-Waqf Act protests have erupted after the Friday prayers. Protesters in large numbers have taken on to the streets across key locations across India. On your screen, ladies and gentlemen, we will get you the visuals from Lucknow, Jaipur, Kolkata, Srinagar, Mumbai and Mohali as the calls for government to repeal the Waqf Act are gaining momentum. Security has been beefed up across these locations. In fact, viewers, one must understand the difference between the demand of the masses and the demand of a few who want to bend the narrative in their favor. In most of these protests, as per preliminary reports, a sea of people have been looped in who do not even understand the agenda that they are protesting for. If you think that the claim is astounding, think again, because many of these protesters also include minors who have been made to sit on the streets with placards. The dramatic footage from the furor over the Anti-Waqf Amendment Act also shows people holding posters of Hamas militants and operatives. With all this going on, viewers, one cannot help but ask, what is the bigger agenda that is being peddled here?
Fresh waves of protests against the reformist Waqf law broke out across cities today. Across cities, dramatic visuals showed Muslim protesters erupting in protest and dissent after the Friday prayers today. In Mumbai, Lucknow, Mohali, Bhopal, Kolkata and elsewhere in the country, the protesters held up placards and raised slogans demanding the rollback of the Waqf law. Giant posters of Hamas leaders went up at a Waqf protest organized by the All India Muslim Personal Law Board in Lucknow. Even minors and children were dragged into the Lucknow protest. Visuals also showed AIMIM leader Waris Pathan being detained while leading a protest against the reformist piece of legislation in Mumbai. Protesters, in their hundreds, also came out on the streets of Kolkata today, challenging the parliament and the voice of the people on the Waqf law. Similar protests were also witnessed elsewhere across the states. Meanwhile, in Kolkata, sitting Trinamool Congress minister Siddiqullah Chaudhary was heard inciting protests on the streets, claiming the support of Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee.
একটা মুসলিম তথা প্রস্তাব এনেছি
In another clip, the minister purportedly threatened to hold Kolkata to ransom over the Waqf bill.
আমরা কলকাতাকে যদি বলতাম জ্যাম করব তো 50টা জায়গায় 2000 করে বসে যেতাম সেটা এখন হয়নি পরে কিন্তু হবে বলে করব বলে প্রথমে জেলাকে একটু টাইট করি তারপরে কলকাতার 50টি জায়গায় 10,000 হলে কত লাগবে
As the dissent on the streets mount, can it undermine the voice of the people?
Moving on to what's happening in the state of West Bengal. From classrooms to bare streets under the scorching sun, protesting for their livelihood. Now this is the plight of over 25,000 teachers in West Bengal. Huge groups of teachers launched a protest against the ruling Trinamool Congress and Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee. They demanded for answers and reinstigation. Now, the anger against the West Bengal government has only soared after the Supreme Court invalidated the appointments of these teachers over a lapse in recruitment process. A pool of protesting teachers who lost their jobs to the state's SSC recruitment scandal are now eyeing a hopeless future. The massive protest gripped the state's capital for the third time this week. Now, with allegations ranging from lathi charge to detention, the ruling Trinamool Congress and Mamata Banerjee seems to be turning their backs onto the 25,000 teachers who are now struggling to make ends meet.
Fresh protests over the primary teachers recruitment scam erupted across Bengal today. Resolute and undeterred after the vicious crackdown by Mamata's police, the sacked primary school teachers massed into the thousands outside Kolkata's SSC Bhavan. Visuals showed heavy police deployment outside the SSC Bhavan as the protesting teachers sat on a dharna on the streets. Holding up placards and raising slogans, the sacked teachers demanded the publication of the OMR sheets and reinstatement of their job.
ये जो भी बैठे हुए हैं यहाँ पे प्रदर्शन में ये वो टीचर्स हैं जिन लोगों का जॉब चला गया है और मैं एक बार बात करने की कोशिश करूंगा यहाँ पे बहुत सारा टीचर्स भी हमको दिख रहे हैं आप लोग यहाँ पे आए हैं यहाँ पे प्रोटेस्ट कर रहे हैं और बहुत बड़ा रैली भी आ रही है क्या मांगे हैं आपकी
প্রথমত আমাদের যোগ্য যারা শিক্ষক চাকরি হারা হয়েছে
बोल पाएंगे
हिंदी में भी बोल पाएंगे जो लोग योग्य है जो लोग अपनी नौकरी से हाथ धोकर बैठे हैं योग्य होने के बावजूद भी ये जो है कि कानूनी सुप्रीम कोर्ट के राय से हुआ है तो हम लोग यही चाहते हैं कि जिस तरह ये कानून की तरीके से हम लोगों से छीना गया है उसी तरह हम लोग चाहते हैं कि एसएससी हम लोगों का योग्य जो कैंडिडेट है वो लोगों का पूरा ओएमआर प्रकाशित करे.
The Supreme Court earlier upheld the Calcutta High Court ruling, cancelling the recruitment of over 26,000 primary school teachers and non-teaching staff across the state of West Bengal. Upping the ante against Mamata government, the sacked teachers earlier stormed offices of district inspectors of school and clashed with the police. Meanwhile, the BJP mobilized fresh protests against the irregularities in the recruitment of primary school teachers across the state. Former BJP State President Dilip Ghosh led a protest march in Malda, calling for a march against the Chief Minister's Kalighat residence over the SSC scam. As the protests escalate, will Mamata open fresh negotiations with the sacked teachers?
Moving on to the other stories that we're tracking now, the key conspirator of the gruesome 26/11 Mumbai Terror attacks, Tahawwur Rana, has not just successfully been dragged back to the national capital, to India, but also his interrogation with the National Investigation Agency is underway in New Delhi. Now, housed inside a 14 into 14 feet cell, Tahawwur Rana is kept under strict security with controlled movement, CCTV cameras and a all-round digital security system. The United States released the first image of the formal handover of Tahawwur Rana to the National Investigation Agency in relation to the 26/11 Mumbai Terror attacks. The United States Justice Department released pictures of Tahawwur Rana clad in a beige prison-issued uniform and flanked by United States Marshal, being delivered into the custody of representatives of the Ministry of External Affairs at a secure location, and this happened on the April of 9th. Let us take you now through the inside details of Tahawwur Rana's grilling procedure that are underway in the national capital. Remember, the NIA has got 18 days of custody for Tahawwur Rana. But these are the inside details of what is the questionnaire, on what are the questions that the NIA will be investigating Tahawwur Rana on. The first and foremost being the first round of questioning would involve his personal life of the 26/11 plotter. Tahawwur Rana will be questioned on who are part of his family members, who was he in touch with during the time when 26/11 happened. Rana will also be questioned about his family. Like I said, all his personal relations will be out in the open, so that the NIA gets a wide view of how deep is the rot. Now, Rana is also to be questioned about his visits to India before 26/11. Now, what we're talking about here is Tahawwur Rana's visit to Bengaluru and Kerala. Now, Tahawwur Rana is not directly linked to the terror cases in Bengaluru and Kerala. However, he has links with LET, and that is why his role in Bengaluru terror attack case and Kerala terror recruitment is under scanner now. Measures are to be taken to keep Rana from harming himself, because remember, that comes to be the tendency of many of these plotters, where they tend to harm themselves inside the cell. However, he has been kept under tight security. Now, finally, the Ministry of Home Affairs will be keeping a close track of the 26/11 plotter, because what we are talking about here is national security, is this man invading India's national security and getting into the gruesome act of plotting the 26/11 attack. Now, while India is coming to terms with a possible closure, it is the Congress that is trying to downplay, that is in fact also downplayed this victory of the country, a huge diplomatic win from Kanhaiya Kumar, who pretended to not know Rana is, to Prithviraj Chavan, who asked for a free trial for the terrorist. These statements have infuriated the people of the country. First up, listen in to what Kanhaiya Kumar had to say, and then when Republic questioned him, look at his defense.
लेकिन तहव्वुर राना को जेल लाया गया है, बहुत बड़ी डिप्लोमेटिक जीत का।
किसको लाया गया है? 26/11 के जो टेरर अटैक के भी। अच्छा, मुझे आप पूछे तो हमको लगा कि 15 लाख रुपया खाते में आ गया, आप इसकी बात कर रहे हैं। कमाल है, लेकिन नहीं अमित शाह कह रहे हैं, अमित शाह को लाज लगता है? अमित शाह को लाज नहीं लगता है ना? थोड़ा सा भी लाज है उस आदमी को? है, अपने बेटा को बीसीसीआई का सेक्रेटरी बना दिया, अभी आईसीसी का चेयरमैन बना दिया है, लाज है उसको? थोड़ा ना, कम से कम ना लोगों के अंदर ना आंख में ना लाज शर्म होना चाहिए। मुद्दा दिन भर भटकाते रहना, कभी इधर कभी उधर, कभी वक्फ बोर्ड तो कभी कुछ तो कभी कुछ। एक चीज, एक डिलीवरी बताइए जो एनडीए सरकार ने किया हो, जिसपे जो है उसको लगातार इस देश के लोगों ने वोट दिया। क्या महंगाई कम हो गई है?
26/11 के जो मुख्य अभियुक्त हैं तहव्वुर राना, उसके लेकर आपका बयान एक चर्चा में है। क्या उन पर कोई कार्रवाई करनी चाहिए? फांसी की सजा की मांग कर रहे हैं।
बिल्कुल कार्रवाई करनी चाहिए। देखिए,
चतुर्वेदी बोल रही है कि देना चाहिए सजा, आप बोले कि असली मुद्दा से भटकाती है बीजेपी।
नहीं, हम ऐसा नहीं बोले हैं। पता नहीं ये कैसे लोग, अच्छा मेरे साथ ये पहली बार नहीं, हमेशा होता है। कांग्रेस पार्टी का रुख और मेरा रुख बिल्कुल साफ है। कोई भी व्यक्ति अगर अपराध करे तो हमारे कानून के तहत जो है उसको सजा होनी चाहिए। इस व्यक्ति ने भी अपराध किया है, लोगों को मारने का, समाज में जो है वैमनस्यता और हिंसा फैलाने का, और यह जो आतंकवादी घटना है उस पर सख्त से सख्त कार्रवाई हो, जो कानून में संभव हो, सब तरह का सजा उसको देना चाहिए। और एक बात मैं और बता दूं कि उसके प्रत्यर्पण की कोशिश जो है वो यूपीए सरकार ने की थी, तब जाकर के आज ये प्रत्यर्पण हो पाया है। इसमें कोई कन्फ्यूजन नहीं है। जब प्रश्न को और उसके जवाब को आउट ऑफ कॉन्टेक्स्ट करके ट्विस्ट करके वो करते हैं, वो आज से नहीं, वो 9 साल से कर रहे हैं मेरे खिलाफ, तो ये कोई नई बात नहीं है।
तो आपको क्या लगता है कि सजा होनी चाहिए? कांग्रेस का भी यही रुख है।
बिल्कुल सजा होनी चाहिए और सख्त से सख्त सजा।
बयान आया आपका कि कांग्रेस ये जो एनडीए की गवर्नमेंट है, अमित शाह है, वो दूसरे सवाल के जवाब में है, ये बयान नहीं है। आपने नहीं दिया?
नहीं, कभी नहीं, ऐसा बात कोई कह ही नहीं सकता है। तो ठीक है, बीजेपी कम से कम इतना तो कर रही है ना कि पलायन और नौकरी के सवाल पर जब उनके पास कोई जवाब नहीं है तो जो है वो अपना कुछ डाइवर्ट कर रहे हैं, ठीक है। लेकिन हमारा ये है कि आतंकवादियों पर सख्त से सख्त कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए।
जब इस तरह के बयान आते हैं आप चर्चा में रहते हैं,
अब उनके पास हम क्या कर सकते हैं, ये उनका प्रेम है हमारे प्रति।
Moving on to what's happening in the state of Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu's Forest Minister K. Pon Modi's misogynistic remarks laced with caste undertones have landed the Chief Minister M.K. Stalin and his DMK in a huge controversy, inviting fierce criticism from women's rights activists, opposition political parties and even from within the ruling party. In the speech, he made remarks linking Hindu religious identities and sacred symbols with sexual positions. Here's the obnoxious remark that he said.
ஒரு விலை மாதவியின் வீட்டுக்கு ஒருத்தன் போகிறான். போகும்போது அங்கே அந்த அம்மா கேட்குது, நீ பார்த்து நீங்கள் சைவமா வைணவமா அப்படின்னு கேட்குது. அவனுக்கு ஒன்றும் புரியல. அவன் பணம் எவ்வளோ 5 கொடு 10 கொடுன்னு கேட்டான்னா ரைட்டு. என்னடா இங்கே வந்திருக்கிறோம் நாம ஒரு விலை மாத வீட்டுக்கு, நம்மளை சைவமா வைணவமான்னு கேட்குறாங்க அப்படின்னு கேட்டான். அந்த அம்மா சொல்லிச்சான், என்னம்மா ஒன்றும் புரியலையே அப்படின்ட்டான். ஒன்றும் இல்லை, சைவம்னா இப்படி வைணவம்னா இப்படின்னுச்சான். ஒன்றும் புரியல. சைவம்னா இப்படி, வைணவம்னா இப்படி, ஒன்றும் புரியல. என்னவா சொல்கிற, இதுன்னா அது தீபம் விபூதி இது தானே, அதில் என்ன இருக்குது அப்படின்னா, இல்லை சைவம்னா வைணவம்னா.
Look at how he laughs after making that obnoxious remark. Now, the BJP Tamil Nadu chief, former BJP Tamil Nadu chief K. Annamalai has slammed the DMK over Minister Pon Modi's controversial remarks, calling it the party's standard of political discourse. He said, and I quote, "Not just this minister, the entire DMK ecosystem is vulgar, foul-mouthed and uncouth. Hang your head in shame." And he tags M.K. Stalin for leading such a disgraceful pack. This is what Annamalai has written in on his platform X. Now, Pon Modi, whom Stalin re-inducted into the cabinet last year after the Supreme Court stayed his conviction in a 2011 disappropriate assets case, has been sacked as the DMK's Deputy General Secretary. He has not so far been sacked from the ministerial post. But the question that everybody is asking is the sacking, is the suspension enough for a minister who has made this disgraceful remark as an insult to Hindus? We move on to the other story that we are tracking, and this again is from the state of Tamil Nadu. Ladies and gentlemen, it is official. The BJP and the AIADMK will fight the 2026 elections together in the state of Tamil Nadu. Now, Union Home Minister Amit Shah confirmed that the AIADMK and BJP will contest the 2026 Tamil Nadu Assembly elections as a part of the NDA alliance. On stage with him was AIADMK's Edapadi K. Palaniswamy. Shah also pointed out that AIADMK has been a part of the NDA since 1998 and that the Prime Minister and former Chief Minister J. Lalita had worked together in the past. The move, remember, comes on the same day that Nayanar Nagendran was appointed as the new BJP state president in the state of Tamil Nadu, replacing K. Annamalai. His name was proposed by K. Annamalai himself. First, listen in to what Amit Shah had to say in that big announcement.
AIADMK और भारतीय जनता पार्टी के नेताओं ने मिलकर तय किया है कि आने वाला तमिलनाडु विधानसभा चुनाव AIADMK, भारतीय जनता पार्टी और सभी साथी दल मिलकर NDA के नाते लड़ेंगे। ये चुनाव राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में और राज्य स्तर पर AIADMK के नेता एड़ापाडी जी के नेतृत्व में लड़ा जाएगा। तमिलनाडु के अंदर DMK पार्टी सनातन धर्म, 3 लैंग्वेज पॉलिसी और कई ऐसे मुद्दे उठा रही है। उसका एकमात्र उद्देश्य मूल मुद्दों से ध्यान हटाना है। तमिलनाडु का चुनाव आने वाले दिनों में DMK सरकार के घनघोर करप्शन, लॉ एंड ऑर्डर का इश्यू, दलितों पर अत्याचार और महिलाओं पर अत्याचार के आधार पर तमिलनाडु की जनता वोट करने जा रही है। तब DMK सरकार ने 39,000 करोड़ के शराब घोटाला, सैंड माइनिंग स्कैम, एनर्जी स्कैम, EL कॉट स्कैम, ट्रांसपोर्ट का स्कैम, मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग स्कैम, न्यूट्रिशन किट स्कैम, फ्री धोती स्कैम, कैश फॉर जॉब, रेड सैंड स्मगलिंग और मनरेगा स्कैम। इसके अलावा भी बहुत सारे स्कैम का जवाब पहले तमिलनाडु की जनता को देना चाहिए। तमिलनाडु की जनता स्टालिन और उदयनिधि से एक करप्शन का जवाब मांगती है।
And we move on to the last story that we're tracking in this edition of 6 Stories at 6. China said it would raise tariffs on the United States goods to 125% from 84% hours after President Xi Jinping urged the European Union to join hands with Beijing in resisting unilateral bullying, referring to the massive tariffs imposed by President Donald Trump. Now, the new levy, which will come into effect on Saturday, that is tomorrow, was announced after Trump this week raised the tariffs for China to 145%, further escalating the ongoing trade war between the world's top 2 economies. Now, remember, Donald Trump has given a 90-day pause for the other countries. However, the same has not been given to China. We will tell you about which are those countries which have been given the 90-day pause. Now, the countries that are included in the 90-day pause is India and Japan. Not included in the 90-day pause is China. We'll quickly flip this graphics and tell you what other countries fall into the 90-day pause of the Trump tariff. It is South Korea and the United Kingdom. So out of the 75 countries that Donald Trump had earlier announced he will be imposing a tariff on, now it is a 90-day pause that he has imposed. It is Brazil and Switzerland as well who are included in the 90-day pause of the tariff. Australia and Turkey. Very interesting to note here that while the 90-day pause has been imposed on several countries, has been given a relief to several countries, it is this one country, China, that is still constant. It is not included in the 90-day pause. We quickly move on to the other countries that have got the 90-day pause from Donald Trump. It is also Thailand, Australia. Now remember, 75 countries that we are talking about here have been included in the 90-day pause. However, the only country that has been exempted from this is China, and this is what people call a tit for a tat. The economists say that Trump has finally blinked when it comes to the tariff war with other countries, but not with China. It remains to be seen between United States and China which country will blink first. Here is the statement of the White House press secretary announcing the 90-day pause.
We understand you have a lot of questions, so in the effort of transparency, we're here to talk about the president's latest statement regarding his America First trade plan. As you all know, the president just put out a statement announcing an additional tariff on China. The tariff on China will now go up to 125% because China imprudently decided to retaliate against the United States. And as I said at the podium yesterday, when you punch at the United States of America, President Trump is going to punch back harder. In that same vein, We have had more than 75 countries from around the world reach out to President Trump and his team here at the White House to negotiate better trade deals for the American worker. We have been overwhelmed with the amount of requests from countries around the world. I'll let the Secretary speak to that. We will continue with the tailor-made negotiations that I spoke about yesterday. In the meantime, there will be a 90-day pause on the reciprocal tariffs as these negotiations are ongoing, and the tariff level will be brought down to a universal 10% tariff. The Secretary here has been a huge part of the President's trade team, of course, and will continue to lead these negotiations moving forward to look out for the American worker, which is always President Trump's goal.
And that's all that we could pack in this edition of 6 Stories at 6. We will be back same time tomorrow. Don't go anywhere. Coming up after the break is Live and Breaking.